Afternoon, guys. Give me a second, just bringing on the pen tools and whatnot. What else do we need? We need some news up, don't we? We need some news up. We've had some data out today, which has been quite interesting. Bookmark this page actually. Right, so whoa, mass double clicking. Hi Justin, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Had a decent start to the trading week this week, so I am very good. Just keeping my eye on a couple of other things. I'm in a couple of positions at the moment, so just keeping my eyes on those positions. Euro yen long at the moment, so keeping my eye on that one. And Aussie Swiss, so keeping my eye on that one as well at the moment. But other than that, I already took some profits out of Euro yen, which was nice. My gold trade from last week played out, hit the $1,900 area today, which was good. So yeah, hoping the internet holds up a little bit better today. I'm not quite hard fixed in yet, but kind of semi at the moment. I've got like a booster, then plugged a Ethernet cable into the booster, so I'm hoping we don't get any internet kind of freakouts today. But you know, it wouldn't be a live stream with me without some kind of internet breakdown, so I have to see how that one plays out. But yeah, hopefully a smooth stream today. We'll see if my voice holds up. I feel a lot better generally, so hopefully my voice holds up for more than 20 minutes today. But guys, let me know what you're into as well. Justin, Vincent, let me know what you guys are up to, what you're trading at the minute. Good afternoon, Vincent. I'm doing a bit better, thank you. Hope you're well too. Let me just make sure my audio is on the right settings. Yep, we should be good. Okay, I always feel a bit lost without headphones on, but these new headphones make me look a little bit like a DJ. But I just feel a little bit lost with them on. What else can I do? Right. Just gonna shut some tabs down that we don't need. Okay. Right, let's kick off with some analysis then. So we've been quite interested in seeing what's happening. There's a bit of a shock bit of data overnight, some GDP out of the Bank of Japan. Sort of move from 0.9% to 1.5%. I thought that was quite an interesting development overnight. Did the yen strengthen? Slightly. Didn't really get too much of a move, to be honest. But yeah, 1.5% there. I still quite like the idea of being short yen at the moment, just from a risk sort of position, as well as just general yen weakness in the market. Obviously, that can turn on an absolute dime, so there's still some potential for price to do that. Just grab this tool, actually. The core retail sales came out of the US, so we saw an actual quite a significant jump here. Was expecting a forecast of minus 0.3% on investing.com. That wasn't on Forex Factory. Forex Factory was saying 0.4%, like the retail sales month on month there. So we've had quite a decent little jump there of core retail sales. Does that again kind of pose a problem for the Federal Reserve? Do they now see this kind of data coming in, thinking that the move for the kind of hike next is on again, or are we going to see a pause? Now I'm just going to go to the FedWatch tool and let's have a quick look at what's going on over on the FedWatch tool, see if there's anything changed there. We haven't had any changes really. We can see that the target rate for the 20th of September meeting is still quite high, 88.5% for a pause at the 525 to 550, 11.5% thinking that we're going to get a rate hike. I think it's going to come more down to the labor market, to be honest, and we'll see. Obviously, we've got an NFP data release at the start of September, so maybe that's when we start to see any kind of typical changes to this environment here. At the moment, although we are getting a little bit stronger data out of the US, market's still anticipating a rate pause rather than a rate hike. So the dollar really been strengthening a little bit. In this week ahead analysis video, I was talking a little bit about this weekly chart, and we were talking about the 103 level down through here. Let me just change the color of that so you can see that. The 103 level down through here is going to be a pretty significant level of resistance for the dollar index. You can see the last time we were here, price fell quite considerably down to sort of the $99.50 area. We've since rebounded. Prices for the last sort of 4 weeks been fairly bullish here for the US dollar, but now we're back at that area where we've seen that sort of selling pressure coming before. Now it's just going to be a point where we see that selling pressure again, we start to see a punch to the downside, or is this an area where we start to break higher now, break through that 103 spot 50 barrier and head for the 105 to 105.75. I think we're at a key area here. So what I'm doing at the moment is just kind of watching it day by day, having a little look at how the market kind of sets up here. Obviously, the past sort of hour, we've had some volatility with the data. Initially, we saw quite a significant rally in the US dollar index. Then we've seen a punch to the downside. At the moment, we're still holding that 103 level, still holding the 50 moving average here on this hourly time frame. So yeah, at the moment, dollar's still fairly bullish. Still just want to wait to see how this closes really here and see if the dollar starts continuing to push to the upside. Alternatively, what we can look for is how the 4-hour time frame reacts in and around this area. Do we get any kind of reversal situations here? Does the market come up, reject, break, start pulling back to the downside there? Do we start seeing some dollar pressure? At the moment, everything is bullish, so we're still making higher highs, higher lows. You know, really speaking, probably will come and potentially take these highs if we do remain a little bit bullish. So this high in here could be a little bit vulnerable if we do see that sort of bullish sentiment rally. I do like a little bit of dollar strength at this current moment in time. I think we talked about it last week with a bit of gold downside. So gold actually performed pretty well. Managed to get short gold pretty much after the live stream last week. We were talking about watching this strategy setup. So basically what we've got It's obviously our 200 and our 50 moving average. We had a close below the 50 on the RSI. Yeah, so basically took a short position out through here, targeting the $1,900 area, and you can see after that news we just spiked through it. So we'll see how price reacts here as well on gold, because again, just kind of following that weekly chart, bearish on the weekly, looking to see now, do we trade for the $1,900 area? So before we had you know, this kind of impulse phase, we kind of knew, well, not knew, but we kind of had a good sort of understanding that gold prices could continue lower, especially after this breakout last week of this trendline support. So the $1,900 area was the sort of area to target, and yeah, we're now at that point. So I think it's what do we do now? Do we still try and attempt the short, or do we wait? And I think it's probably best to just wait ever so slightly, because otherwise, you know, if we try and sell into a low, then, you know, buyers could easily take the other side of that sell, and we could see a move back to the upside, which we don't want to see. What I want to see is closes below lows. The reason why I like looking for closes is because it just gives me a little bit of confirmation that sellers are still seeking lower prices. So yeah, I want to be able to see that going into this week, really, in and around there. So we shall see what happens with our gold prices. Hyper Caleb, hope you're doing well. Yeah, dollar strength needed. Yeah, absolutely. Like, we did get some really good dollar data, considering the fact, you know, core retail sales coming in at 1%. I'd say that's fairly significant. Let's have a look at it from a chart point of view. Yeah, so the past sort of 3 months have been fairly flat, 0.4%, 0.3%, 0.2%. Even before that, we had a minus 0.5%. So this is quite a sort of significant jump here. So yeah, it's an indication of consumer spending, really, isn't it? So if consumers are still spending in the economy, how does that come into the effects of inflation, right? So, you know, the Fed don't want people necessarily spending in the economy. They want those higher unemployment rates and whatnot. So the Fed may have to try and do something again, but it's early doors, I think. Early doors to discuss whether the Fed are going to hike or not. Like I said, I showed you the Fed Watch tool. It looks like they're going to stay, or market participants are pricing in a hold still. But I think this 103 is the key point. Where do we go here? Do we see 103 hold, or do we see 103 break? I think that's going to be a pretty key point at the moment. A lot of battling going on here. You can see price trading through it, coming back through it, retesting the other side of it now. Do we trade again and try and come back to it? So it'll be a little interesting watch going on there. Euro dollar, obviously very interesting as well. I've been watching euro dollar, been looking at this consolidation pattern, and yeah, just basically seeing if we get a bit of a breakdown. Yesterday we did got a breakdown of that level, so naturally you'd be looking at this and sort of looking at that downside play. I'm a little bit sidelined with euro at the moment. I do quite like euro strength in the market, so not just because euro dollar's at support. You know, the ECB potentially going to hike rates further as well. So, you know, and a lot of the talk is that the Fed are going to pause rates. So, you know, is there kind of a disparity here between the two currencies? Obviously, we're looking at that dollar index pull back into the 103 as well. So, really speaking, if I'm expecting some dollar strength, you know, I should expect euro dollar to trade lower. But I'm just watching to see what happens, really, because like I said, I like euro strength. Euro Aussie for one was one to watch today. Like I said, I was euro or euro yen long. Already banked some of banked one of them oppositions there. So, you know, I do quite like the idea of euro trading higher. Let's just zoom out a little bit, especially because we were looking at basically price coming up into this potential 160, 168 area. I'll kind of edit that. Here we go. I mean, I do think that 168 is a pretty big ask. But saying that, look how price has been recently with that rally. So is that off the table? Perhaps not. I also like the fact we've kind of broken back within this area as well. So, sorry, I just need to do my analysis on it because it looks like I've deleted it somehow. 156.50, sort of around that area there. In and around that point. Try and make that a little bit bigger. So now price has kind of broken through this area here. Is it going to kind of go and seek the other side of that area there? There's potential to do so. So that's why I quite like, from a technical perspective, I like euro yen long. Fundamentally, not ideal to see the GDP figures in Japan go to 1.5%. Will the Bank of Japan do anything though? I think that's a different question. What I was interested in this week was looking at how the markets reacted to 145 on dollar yen. Don't know if anybody's had a look at dollar yen yet, but we are at 145 and 145.50. So we've traded through 145 at the moment. We're heading, well, we're into the 145.50. This was the area where the Bank of Japan were talking about intervention levels before. Is the market going to get spooked here again? Are we going to start seeing some sellers coming in on dollar yen? So, you know, I'm interested just to see what happens. Obviously, I'm a little bit more bullish this market than bearish, because of the sort of situation we've got here. Technically, there's a sort of bullish trend here on the weekly time frame. I would say I'm in the middle of a bullish phase here. The only problem I've got is obviously we're at that key point now, and you know, I haven't necessarily seen anything in the news about the Bank of Japan. Maybe there has been some news that I just haven't seen. Let's have a look. No, not really, but I've just Googled sort of, you know, Bank of Japan, and in the news already we've got CNBC talking about the 145 expectations of a Bank of Japan intervention. You know, you've got some news articles in Asia talking about the 145 per dollar to the weakest level this year. So we're starting to see murmurs again of will the Bank of Japan, you know, talk about the 145, or do we get some kind of intervention at this point? So I've got a feeling we won't. I've got a feeling we'll see price trade through this area. I'm looking more at the 150s, 150, 150s, just to see where we kind of intervened before. Because usually they do the talking of interventions first, which was sort of this retest in here. I haven't seen them talk yet about this area at 145. So yeah, that was that candlestick there was kind of the last intervention from the Bank of Japan. So we know, you know, they've intervened at the 150s before, so it's not impossible for price to trade through this 145.50 and head higher. In fact, you know, physically we can see they've done it before. Got to 145, 151, nearly into the 152s before we saw real significant market volatility come in. What time of year was that? That was October 2022. So an intervention now, I think, would be quite a significant move, because of we're in that sort of really light volumes, high volatility situation at the minute. I think an intervention would see some serious declines. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens here. We're at a critical point now. No point trying to guess what's going to happen there. We'll just see, does the market remain within that bullish trend here, or does it start to fail? Do we start to see a reversal happen? Obviously, I would like to see price travel through. But yeah, there's some other markets I was interested in as well. Aussie US dollar. I mean, Aussie dollar really becoming weak now, isn't it? I've got a couple of levels that I'm interested in. 6,400 being one, 6,200 being the other. Pretty much traded within a big range. Almost had a, downward move. Arguably some kind of flag pattern, maybe. Maybe we're going to see some kind of larger breakout there. But yeah, looking at the Aussie US dollar price, nice strong weekly close last week. And this is what I try and follow. We've got that reversal weekly candlestick. If I go to the 4-hour time frame, you'll see ever since that kind of bearish week, we've been trending to the downside here. Markets been making lower lows, lower highs. 2050 still pushing to the downside as well. We're not kind of seeing any kind of curving up of those averages yet. I quite like where we're at. I like the 6,500 level. I wouldn't mind seeing price even test 6,500 again, especially if we go to an hourly chart. Right, you can kind of see that range in a little bit more detail. Right, so a false breakout here would be quite nice. I think if we did see some kind of rally into that area there, price really struggled to trade above that, buyers struggling to get above this area here, then, that could signal some further pressure to come. But again, just kind of seeing how the market reacts to these type of levels at the moment. Do you really want to be trading within a consolidation pattern? Probably not. You want to wait for some kind of extreme of the range, or you want to see price extend out of the range. So the only Aussie pair that I really liked going into this week was Aussie Swiss. We talked about Kiwi Swiss the week prior, and being sort of short that market. We also talked about Aussie Swiss as well. But look at that downward trend there. Really nice. Weekly as well. Really strong downward pressure. Potential for the 0 spot 56 to come into play. So all I'm doing is basically trying to follow those. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Trying to follow those moves basically. And you can see nice big wick to the upside, break below the 50, a nice little retest of the levels there as well. Again, nice little breakdown here after a retest of the averages, break below the 50, price trended lower. So yeah, like what's going on here on Aussie Swiss. We're kind of retesting these lows at the moment, not really seeing much in the way, I'd say, of buying momentum. So yeah, happy with this one at the minute. Just going to see if that one plays out. But yeah, Pound Aussie as well. So Vincent wants to take a look at Pound Aussie. Let's have a look at Pound Aussie. I do like longs Pound Oz. Coming up into that 197 level now, aren't we? Which is that level with we're coming into at the moment, aren't we? So 197, retesting these kind of platform, these previous kind of structure points. We're also, if we take a look at it from a monthly perspective, we're kind of retesting this monthly trend line as well. So I know it looks like there's a lot going on here, but that 197 handle may be a bit of a sticking point for price. So trade through the 197, and we're coming all the way back up into the 2.02 area. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, Pound Aussie I like a lot. Again, weekly very bullish, daily very bullish. 4 hour we've got the trend there. So if I was to insert our moving averages, so let's do 20 and 50 first. You got a strong bullish trend there. rid of that. Let's pop in the RSI. Okay. So just from strategy perspective, you know, you've got that in here where prices come in, probably around that area there. Again, break above the 50 in here. Tested the averages, break above the 50. Break above the 50. So, you know, it does just show you that if you can find that sort of little trend in market, there is opportunities, especially from a strategy point of view. Obviously, alternatively as well, you can go for the sort of less signal environment by choosing a higher or a slower EMA, like the 200. I'll zoom out a little bit. You can see that we've kind of pretty much stayed with the 50 and the 200 this entire time after the crossover back on the 22nd of June. So, yeah, I like pound Aussie, to be honest. Missed this signal this morning, really, just because I was already exposed to some Aussie, and we did have some data on the pound at 7 o'clock this morning, which was the average earnings index, which came in a lot higher, nearly 1% more than previous. So, yeah, I like that. We did a video as well covering cable. And if we have a little look at where cable is, we're at that one spot, 26.50. So I quite like the idea of buyers stepping in at this point. You can see looking left, you've got previous structure highs, previous lows coming through there. You know, I talked about the potential, although we do have CPI data coming out in the UK, the CPI was coming in a lot higher still, although 7.9% is forecast to drop to 6.7%. And, you know, we'll see if there's any kind of... It's still basically high, so the Bank of England may have to react still. We may have to see a bit of a rate hike from the Bank of England. So if we do see that rate hikes, then there could be potential for, obviously, the pound to have an influx of investment. Pound could stay strong. We're looking at dollar being at that resistance level. So, yeah, there could be a possibility here for pound US dollar to trade higher. Nice pin candle as well coming in there from the daily. So I would like to see price kind of take out this trend line resistance. I think that would be ideal to see, you know, to see those buyers kind of get through this area, you know, because we could turn here and remain within this sort of bearish channel that's been developing. So, yeah. Vincent, I was looking for longs this morning, but didn't get my entry and price moved away. That's absolutely fine. There's always going to be another opportunity, I feel. You know, it's been a bit of a wild day for the pound, to be honest. It's been a bit sort of choppy. So I'd be looking more at a higher time frame point of view anyway, a bit more of a swing trade on that one. Obviously, if that is something that you look to do. But yeah, that could be a double bottom pattern right at this weekly level of support. We could be looking at another sort of Euro-Oz move. Maybe saw Euro-Oz rally from these lows down through here. I mean, Euro-Oz seems to be taking off now as well. So yeah, it just shows you across the board, Aussie's a little bit weak at the moment. You know, Euro and Pound are fairly strong at the moment. You got Kiwi pretty weak, Yen pretty weak. You know, so yeah, it's a little bit interesting market dynamics at the moment. Gold, obviously, we've talked about that pull down there. Let's have a look at our stock markets. S&P 500, just kind of flirting with the previous weekly lows at the moment. I don't really see that they're breaking lower just yet. You know, that to me looks more like we could see another push. You know, I do like this area that we've got marked out at the 46.32. You know, we haven't tested that yet. I've got my alert set there. You can see I've got an alert set there, but we haven't tested that yet. So I still feel like there's still some further upside to come in the stock markets. That also means that risk-on environment could stay the same. Could still see that yen weakness, Aussie weakness, Kiwi weakness for the time being. So yeah, we'll see. How is the Dow doing? Kind of pulling back, aren't we, from this? Have we got a fib on here? We've not yet pulled back significantly from last month. I mean, look where the 38.2 of the last previous month sits. I mean, I'm not a huge fib trader. I used to be, but not so much anymore. I like to use like a combination of things. But yeah, you can see prior highs coming in there, really. 38.2. You could see why fib traders might get interested around that point. So if fib traders are going to be interested at that point, should we be interested too, basically, is what I like to look for. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a short decline, maybe a little bit of a pullback across the board, and then see that continuation. Obviously, retail sales probably would give a little bit of a boost there. Volatility index starting to point up a little bit again as well. So yeah, we could see a little bit of a move higher there. Anyone else trading anything? Let me know in the comment section. Don't think I've stopped talking there, actually. We've gone through quite a few charts already. See what's coming up in our news tomorrow. So we've got an RBNZ interest rate decision overnight. 5.5% expected to stay the same. 5.5%. So could be a reason to stay at that Kiwi market for now. Also got our UK CPI data then. What else do we have? We have crude oil inventories and FOMC meter minutes. So the FOMC meter minutes are going to be quite interesting. Did the Fed talk about hiking? Did they talk about pausing? What was the feelings around that? Are they going to remain data dependent, which I think is what they'll probably stick to. Crude oil inventories could be quite good to watch. There's potential for that to come in a lot lower. We were talking about oil. I ended up taking a couple of positions on oil. And then, yeah, basically banked back at the previous sort of highs. Didn't quite go the way I wanted it to go in terms of where I was expecting price to go to. I mean, we were talking about the potential for price to work within this range and that we were back at this area. I was expecting potentially a breakout for the $92 level. And we haven't quite got it yet. Again, just kind of, at resistance, people could be taking some profits off the table. Do I still feel that price is going to trade higher? Fundamentally, yes. It's just, how do we attack that from a fundamental perspective now? At the moment, we've got sort of a channel support being traded through. So really speaking, I need to start to identify other levels. So you've got these lows down through here, for instance, at the sort of $79 area, so is that the sticking point then for oil prices? And do we start to see oil prices start to trade higher from here? Maybe the data tomorrow drives price into this level, starts to see it push back to the upside. That's also a potential possibility as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on oil prices. Technically from a 4 hour, still okay. This low to me is going to be really interesting. These two lows there. If we trade through those, cut below the hourly 200 moving average, I think that's a significant potential reversal coming up. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens there. But yeah. Do need to organize some of these charts. A bit all over the place. Kiwi is very similar to Aussie as well, like we were saying earlier. Look at that 4 hour time frame. It's just a real lack of buyers coming in, isn't there? That's what that shows me there. Real lack of buyers. Okay then, guys. Any questions? How are we all doing? Are we okay? Let me know. We've got UK core retail sales coming out at the end of the week as well. Some Europe CPI. So, yeah. Let's see what happens there then. There's no more questions. I'll probably leave it there. I'll probably jump off. But thank you all for coming and giving it a watch. I hope you have a great trading week. And yeah, I'll join you on Thursday. And yeah, if you want to catch up with me then, catch up with me then. We'll see how these events have played out. Jacob, thanks for joining. Where did you learn your fundamentals? Just by reading books, studying books. Yeah, that's all I did really. I'd say when I first started trading, fundamentals were my weakest point. I started off as a very technical trader. So technicals come really natural to me, but fundamentals didn't. So yeah, I think if that's a good point. If you're struggling with any part of your sort of trading toolage, then go and learn about it. So yeah, just studied books basically. I mean, you can basically buy sort of recent economic books that are pretty good. So yeah, lots of studying. Right, I'm gonna leave it there. Cheers, guys. Thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you on Thursday.